We have our Vivian
with us.
Rodriguez as our interpreter.
Sí, muy buenas noches y bienvenidos de parte de la Junta Directiva del Distrito Escolar de Santa Bárbara. Si hay alguien que necesita la ayuda de un intérprete, por favor levante la mano para darle un audífono. Gracias. Thank you.
Gracias. I'd also like to point out that due to a scheduling conflict, we did not have a closed session prior to the open session this evening. We also have headsets available for anyone who needs assistive hearing technology. And we will move on to introductions, proclamations, presentations, and recognitions.
Great, thank you. We have a wonderful new art display at the back of the room. You'll see the pictures along the side of the wall here. You'll see several exceptional landscapes as well as fantastic self-portraits by McKinley third graders, inspired by the work of Italian artist Amedeo Modigliani. I got that right, didn't I? Modigliani, who worked in France, by the way. The students did a great job capturing the mask-like faces and elongation of form that characterize Modigliani's work. The McKinley Elementary School art program is part of the incredible Children's Art Network, ICANN, a nonprofit program of the Santa Barbara Foundation. With us this evening is the driving force behind ICANN's art and music programs, Jim Kearns. ICANN would not exist without Jim's vision and personal commitment. We are deeply appreciative of Jim's recognition of the art's impact on language, literacy, and other academic skills. Jim, would you please come up to the podium right here? We were going to introduce Amy Schneider as well, who is ICANN's director. She's unable to be with us this evening due to illness. Amy has been instrumental in program implementation, and we are very grateful for her guidance and leadership. Jim, ICANN in our lower income schools has created wonder and excitement in the way our young learners view the world, as demonstrated by the artwork we enjoy tonight. Thank you for your support for our students.
Thank you. I don't know if I'm the driving force.
Yes, you are.
I think Amy Schneider is the driving force. I wish she was here tonight. She's ill. But we'd like to thank you all very much for what you do. We appreciate it. We know that the times are hard and it's a tough job. You have to make very difficult decisions. And we appreciate so much working with you. And we look forward to working more in the future in this way. So thank you for the partnerships you create with the nonprofit community. It's very important. And I'd like to recognize now the person that started our vision in working with kids with art, because we didn't realize how powerful it was. And that's Kathy Skarmanak, who is a parent and a teacher. And she really opened the door for us for ICANN. So thank you very much.
All right. Well, that's true. Amy Schneider is dynamic, very enthusiastic, and our schools often use art events to build community, and there have been wonderful times when the entire school community comes together over children's art, and we didn't have that just a number of short years ago.
I just wanted to say, Mr. Kearns, on behalf of the students in our district and on behalf of the families and the community at large, I just really want to extend our appreciation to you and to ICANN in general for the work that you do with our students and the opportunities that you offer them that, as we have said, we would not be able to offer them otherwise. So it is a phenomenal resource to have you in our schools and something that we greatly appreciate. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Mrs. Cordero,
Ms. Parker?
if I may, I just want to say how much I appreciate actually having a face to put with this program, because I still remember when I had first come on the board and I went over to Cesar Chavez and I went to Franklin, and I think it had been placed maybe about a year at that point in those schools, and it had started first, as I recall, at Cesar Chavez. And I was astounded at the work that the kids were doing and that they had this fantastic opportunity. And I kept hearing anonymous, anonymous, and seeing it start to spread across the district, it really it helped me have a lot of faith that our local community and members of our local community would step up for our schools. But it's so nice to be able to see you and say thank you, and also to know that, you know, you're the person that has made such a difference by connecting all these other people that have made huge differences in the lives of so many kids. Because art, it ignores language completely, and it helps so many kids attach to their schools and to the academic portion and the way they interconnect, and I've just been amazed at the whole program, so thank you.
Well, you can all join our group. You're a great spokesman. We have been very surprised. We had no idea how powerful art would be, and it's been a tremendous connector. It really ignites children and shows them how successful they can be. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim Kearns. And board, I'd like to introduce Elizabeth Gonzalez. Elizabeth is our student representative from Santa Barbara High School. She's going to update us on what's happening at the Santa Barbara High School campus.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Gonzalez, and we just have a few minor updates. First and foremost, we're planning prom, which is May 21st, and that's a very big event, of course, for all of our seniors. A few weeks ago, we had our senior supporter social. That was very successful. We raised a lot of money. We had an auction. We had bands performing. It was lots of fun. And also, MORP is another one of our little dances that we have, and that's April 22nd. It's kind of like a backwards prom, but it's a lot just fun, like for the students. They got to dress up and kind of clown around. And also, that same day, we're having a quad grub, and we just bring different restaurants from Santa Barbara into our school, and we just sell their food, and it's just like a little treat for the students. And also, Free for the Weekend program is going on at Santa Barbara High School, so we're really just encouraging students to sign up and be free for the weekend. And something important is class elections. So we're electing new presidents, vice presidents, secretary, treasurers for each class, and that's good because we're actually getting a lot of students to start running, and it's going to be a good competition. And yeah, that's basically it. We're just having SATs are going on, and also the California Star Standards testing is next week. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Do you guys have any questions for Santa Barbara?
I don't think so. Thank you. Thank you very much. Sounds like you have a busy schedule ahead of you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm fascinated by the concept of MORP.
One.
I also, for many people who aren't familiar with the Free for the Weekend program, just wanted to point out that it's a pledge that students take to be free of drugs and alcohol for the weekend, and many local businesses support the program by offering little treats for those students who are wearing the bracelet that they get for making the pledge. And so I think that's just another example of how the community really supports the students and the schools in the district. So thank you for participating in that.
Yes. Thank you for your time.
That's it for recognitions and presentations.
Okay, then are we ready for the superintendent report?
Yes, we are. Well, as Elizabeth just said, we're entering the spring STAR testing season, that period where we assess our students in grades 2 through 11, every grade level through 11th grade, on state tests to see what progress we've made. Since student achievement is at the forefront of our board focus goals, I'm pleased to recognize the work of teachers and administrators in preparing our students for the tests and students giving their best effort during testing. I'm hearing about preparation in all subject areas, such as students who are well practiced in reading long passages and persevering to answer all of the questions correctly. And that's an important kind of practice. In fact, student confidence in their ability to do well can make a big difference in their results. The importance of student achievement is prominent in our school goals and our board focus goals, and it's been a clear and consistent direction for our district. For many years, we focused on instruction and learning, achievement in the state accountability program, achievement in the federal No Child Left Behind accountability requirements, the achievement gap, particularly between white and Latino students, and equal opportunities for underrepresented students. In addition, we've focused on safe and orderly school environments, especially leading to learning cultures at each school, and on communication. We publish board focus goals that have shown a consistent direction for a number of years, and I'm pleased to report that those focus goals have not changed, and we haven't just changed course 180 one year and gone in a different direction the following year. There's been a lot of consistency and direction in that. We regularly report on our progress. Schools are clear about these goals, and they develop annual plans for student achievement that target these goals. District-wide initiatives have also been in place for a number of years to accomplish these goals, including the following: increased attention to learning and effective instruction, the use of data, common assessments, and continuous monitoring of student progress, collaborative planning and professional teams at every school, systematic interventions for those needing more time and support. In fact, you've seen the pyramid of interventions from each of the schools. Specialized instruction and additional instructional time for English learners. AVID support for students working at higher levels. AVID stands for Advancement via Individual Determination. Honors coursework to challenge higher level students, and that's something that we've just accomplished in the last year. You just heard a report on how that seems to be going at our last meeting. Career technical education pathways, and we'll hear more on this. In fact, we'll be reporting on at the joint City Council board meeting that's coming up at the end of this month. Ongoing professional development to support the differentiated instructional needs of all students, and that's something that's really ramped up over the last couple of years. Well, through these consistent initiatives, we've made significant progress, and many schools have made great gains. We have even seen a narrowing of the achievement gap at the secondary level, and I expect these efforts to continue as they provided a great foundation for our success. Such initiatives are described in the action plan in Achieving Excellence for All, which outlines what we're doing to achieve the board focus goals. We have the last one on our board website, and we'll be soon updating that document. We also have the school plans that are available on the website, which highlight both the goals and the direction. On separate items, a campaign is underway to inform parents about the new state law requiring proof of whooping cough, pertussis, which is called the Tdap vaccination for students entering grades 7 through 12 next year. We've been using Teleparent, communicating with each school's PTA. We've informed community partners, and a mailer went out to families after spring break. The board brief. My office regularly issues a report to the board called the Board Brief. It's a collection of articles and reports on district and school matters. A copy of the March 25th board brief is on display in the reception area. Employee Appreciation Day is coming up on Thursday, and we look forward to celebrating the hard work of our certificated, classified, and management staff and board. We hope you will join us. Finally, our district is in its 144th year and counting toward the district's 145th anniversary celebration, which will take place May 12th from 3 to 4:30 across the street at the Santa Barbara Historical Museum. We are finalizing plans for what promises to be a wonderful showcase of student talent and a glimpse into our district's past. The list of performances and events for our school district is being updated daily. And Chris, if you could show on the screen the district website, people will want to take a look at the website to get the full list. But this week, the following events will take place. Santa Barbara Junior High School presents Revenge of the Space Pandas this Friday and Saturday. I haven't seen that one before. Santa Barbara High School's annual spring showcase of visual arts and design academy student artwork opening reception is Thursday, April 21st at the Ridley Tree Education Center. And Dos Pueblos High School presents Hello Dolly beginning this Friday on April 15. Copies of the full list are before you, board members. They're on the side table for those in the audience, and they're on the screen that posted in our district website. That concludes the superintendent's report.
Thank you. We have quite a busy next couple of months coming up.
Yes.
Okay, so that moves us on then to to board comments and correspondence. Do board members have any comments or? Ms.
Two
Mo?
things. Last week, I had the opportunity to attend the My House opening, which is a new living facility in part dedicated to foster youth. And I know we don't talk about foster youth too much, but 33% of the students living there were district students on the verge of graduating. So I was really excited to see the housing and the programming, and also very thankful for the YMCA, specifically the youth services entity that has taken the lead in our community to do something about transitional youth housing. And secondly, I just wanted to remind folks about this coming Sunday, Santa Barbara City College, along with many community colleges in the state, will be having an event, and it's Hands Across America? California, sorry. Hands Across California. And given that so many of our district students attend the community college system, this is an event that supports the role that community colleges play in our community, and specifically for our students. So if folks are interested in supporting Santa Barbara City College, it's happening on Sunday the 17th at 2 o'clock, and it's a short event. It's a half-hour event. So it won't take much of your time, and hopefully it'll be a nice Sunday afternoon, and we can stand in solidarity with our institutions of higher ed.
Thank you, Ms. Limon. Mr. Herron?
Yeah, maybe we can fly some kites up there, too. Yeah, the other half hour. It's been an interesting 2 weeks. It shows the diversity of the things that we all are involved in, and it puts in sort of context what our staff and all our teachers are faced with. It started out with Mr. Sumter putting on or coordinating a gang symposium led by Dr. Gus Frias. And it was really aimed at school safety plans and the gangs, but how schools need to have in their safety plans agenda items that cover the gang situation. And we need to look at our school safety plans, because I don't know that we have that much direct information on each school and what they're doing and what the situation is. Following that was the State of the City, and at the State of the City, it was brought out the 2010 Sustainability Report. And our school district has 2 pages in it talking about what we're doing in the field of recycling and composting. And it shows that we're saving $90,000 a year by participating. There's a picture of Adams School in their garden, and then example, Harding School, 92% of their waste is being recycled. So it was a nice document, but it was nice that the school district was recognized and Dr. Sarvis was recognized for the efforts that our teachers and our staffs put in at every school.
And we should just point out that our board member, Kate Parker's daughter, is represented in one of those
Actually,
photos.
my daughter and my son are.
Oh, both? Okay, daughter and son.
Okay, oh, there they are, I see them, okay, there they are. Even more impressive, you know. And that was 500 community leaders were there, hearing a lot of things about the city, but it was nice to see the school district spoken so highly of. Later that day, I attended a webinar on Beyond the Classroom, and looking at how mobile equipment is being used in the educational process across the United States. It was a hands-on discussion of how they're doing it, what the challenges are, what the opportunities are. And the more I get into what's happening down the road, technology is going to be very important. Friday night, I think it was Friday, we went to an autism play put on in honor of starting Autism Month. And it was a one-man program premiere on a real man at Center Stage Theater about a father and what he went through in coming to grips with a child with autism and how dedicated and devotion that he and his wife and their other child have to that situation. But it put in perspective what we hear about up here on a constant basis, not constant basis, we hear about it because it is something very important that we're involved in. Saturday was a governance conference. It was the 6th class that I've been to, and that Saturday we happened to be talking about collective bargaining, which from a timing standpoint is very, very good. And the previous month was school finance. So 2 issues of going into more depth, learning what our role is in collective bargaining, what our role is in school finance. Through the cooperation of Grant House and the City Council, since I'm appointed to the advisory committee for the Armory, I thought maybe there might be a good idea to have a meeting. And since from Dr. Noel tells me that he never went to one, I don't think. And so Grant House put together a meeting, and Dr. Sarvis and Eric Smith and Helene Schneider and Jim Armstrong really got caught up on what's going on at the Armory between the high school and the junior high school. And we should get a report on that, I think, at our joint meeting coming up with City Council. But it was a good dialogue, good discussion, very informative. But I want to thank Grant for taking the lead and organizing that meeting. As an aside, went to Arbor Day at Franklin School and saw 40 or 50 kids playing in the dirt, planting 4 trees, 3 citrus, a birch, I think, and to see all their gardens that they have there at Franklin put on by a lady out at UCSB and the 5th graders going out to Sedgwick Park. But they have a gorgeous learning garden, which was fantastic. Annette probably will talk about this, so I won't. I went to the County Committee on School District Organization to hear a discussion on the district unification proposal. Stopped by McKinley School to try out their wireless, and it's now up and running. I'm very happy to see McKinley in the internet age, and now you can get wireless from almost any place on campus. In fact, I even read my email in the parking lot, so that's nice to see. And then yesterday, spent the day with a lot of the staff principals on core standards, showing what's in store for us in the next 3 years, getting ready for implementation of new core standards, and once again, the role that technology is going to play in that whole process, and sort of puts in perspective what's in front of us. So just a sample of the things that are out there that go on, and that's only probably a drop in the bucket. You guys go to 100 more things every day, I'm sure, but it's eye-opening to see everything that's going on. So I appreciate the opportunity.
Okay, other board members? Well, I do want to just quickly mention a couple of things. One is the meeting that Mr. Herron referred to, the Committee for School District Reorganization, and they were hearing our petition for unification for the first time. So as I informed the staff after and the board after the meeting, there wasn't a great deal of substantive discussion at this point, but there were a number of questions, and the meetings, the public hearings were scheduled, and those, are those on our website yet, do you know?
No, but we'll
They will be.
In fact, we'll be announcing them at future meetings as well in Goleta, Montecito Union, right here in our boardroom. So
There will be 4 meetings in May, 3 of them in the very beginning of May, and then the 4th one after the state committee has reviewed the petition, and so that'll be later in May, I think it's the 19th. to hear the petition. So that's good to know that those have been scheduled, that's underway, and that they're really sort of in the works in terms of things that are going on. In addition, I just wanted to mention something that's happening tomorrow night, and that is the AB 540 night at Santa Barbara High School, which I think is really significant. And a lot of people don't know what AB 540 is, so it's really important for the community to become aware of it. AB 540 is an assembly bill that allows students who entered the country undocumented as children who have graduated from our high schools to go on to college and pay in-district fees. And people don't necessarily know how that has been significant, but a lot of our students who were, in many cases, some of the most outstanding students in their class were facing prohibitive fees when trying to go on to higher education. And the community, society as a whole, was losing out on their potential. So AB 540 is really significant. It allows students the opportunity to go on to higher education and still pay fees, but pay the fees for the local in-district students. So that will be tomorrow at 6 o'clock at Santa Barbara High School Theater or auditorium. So, Ms. Lamont?
Can I just say one more thing about AB 540? It's also, it applies to anyone who attended high school here and maybe decides to go out of state for college and come back to California to use that same policy to pay in-state tuition. So it's actually a dual benefit to our in-state students as well, so that they don't have to reapply for residency.
Great. So, as we can see, we have a lot of things going on.
Ms. Cordero, I was surprised that the Committee for District Reorganization didn't just approve our unification.
Well, to be perfectly honest, no. There's a very specified process that needs to be followed.
Yes.
But I didn't detect any major controversy as we were in those.
As you said, the good news is that we may know by May 19, since that's just a few days after State Board of Education action on our waivers, whether we will be able to unify the elementary and secondary district and drop the S from our name.
May I ask Dr. Sarvis, will you be at that State Board of Education meeting?
Probably.
Okay.
And board members, I hope, will be in attendance at the public hearings as well as the community. Okay, so
And
then,
Mrs. Goodell?
oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Herron?
If you see me playing with my iPad up here, I'm not playing games. I'm trying to test if I can get away from paper. And it's not going to be easy, but I'm going to test. So if you see me playing with it, it's an experiment, okay?
And we're going to be excited to see the results. I mean, this is something.
For the public, we had a number of documents sent to us via email this week, even just within the last couple of days. And so Mr. Herron is sort of piloting something that I think all of us would be interested in. So we're hoping that it works out well. Okay, at this point then, we would move on to announcements of closed session action. However, as I announced earlier, our closed session was canceled. Thank you, was canceled. And so we have no action to report out. So that moves us to public comments.
We have 3 public comments this evening. The first are 2 speakers that go by the name O2 Sailors. Then we have Amy Freese and Christina Rodriguez and Dennis Shelley. Are the O2 Sailors here?
I believe that's Oz.
Oh, sorry. Come
Okay,
on up, San
so-
Marcos
yes.
High School counselors, come on up. Sorry, Oz Sailors.
And just a reminder that speakers have 3 minutes in which to make their comments. The little light on the right on the podium will turn red when your time is up. Thank you.
All right. Horrific and tragic to the well-being of students are the words I will use to describe the potential layoff of 3 of 5 beloved guidance counselors at San Marcos High School next year. I am a senior and am not directly affected by their potential absence, but I'm honored to speak to you today about the people who care about us more than anyone else in our education. I am blessed beyond words to have had the honor of having one of those counselors as a coach of mine during my short 2 years at San Marcos. I'm fortunate to have a baseball career that has gone at an international level, and in a few months will go semi-professional and then college 8. And I can assure you that absolutely none of that would be possible without the most supportive coach and mentor that I've ever had the opportunity to work with, Coach Kristen Miller. I'm not the only student touched by her caring heart and generosity, as many students and athletes have written letters of concern about what life at San Marcos would be like without her. I realize that cuts must be made to eliminate our $10 million deficit, but I can assure you that the cutting of guidance counselors is a mistake beyond what you can imagine. You can ask the 600,000 student athletes participating in the NCAA and NAIA who relied on guidance counselors to help with the clearinghouse process, or the 14.4 million undergrad and 17.5 million postgrad students who attain knowledge of 4-year plans and received letters of recommendation in order to get them into colleges and universities around the world to make their dreams come true. The hero in them, however, is why it would be unthinkable to take them away. We have often heard that a life cannot be measured in money. The statistics in the past decade, according to CNN.com, are horrifying. 1 in 8 teenagers are clinically depressed, which leads to 1 in 5 who participate in self-destructive behavior. 5,000 commit suicide every year, and 2.2 million try and fail. 750,000 students are treated at emergency rooms for violence-related injuries. 1 out of every 100 has an eating disorder. 43% admit to have been a victim of cyberbullying. 50% of girls had been admitted to have pressure to have sex in a serious relationship, which at one point during the past 10 years led to 1 million teen pregnancies and 200,000 teen abortions in the same year. And according to the Center of Disease Control and Prevention, 1,100 teenagers gave birth every day, costing American taxpayers $9 billion in the past year. In 2007, 8.1 out of every 100 births in Santa Barbara were teenage births. And at San Marcos this past year, 17 students have gotten pregnant and are going through with the baby, while several more have chosen to abort. And while these stats are terrifying, there is one more that matters. 85% of high school students will tell their guidance counselor what's going on before their parents, their youth group leaders, or even their best friend. If we take guidance counselors away, what will be the consequence? Will the 5,000 suicides turn into 10,000, 15,000? Will those suicides be from the pregnant teenagers who have nobody to talk to? Do we really want to know? The significance and reliability of guidance counselors has an impact on millions of high school students every day. How can we take them away? The ball is in your court. May you make the right decision.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to meet you in person after our correspondence on email, and your comments were worth waiting for. Thank you.
And Oz, I have the student letters here and signatures for the board to look at. Thanks.
Amy Freese and Christina Rodriguez.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Amy Freese. I'm a supervisor with FNL, Friday Night Live, in case you guys aren't familiar with it. It's a group of high school students in Santa Barbara County who work on alcohol awareness and drug prevention. And I'm working with CADA, the Council for Alcoholism and Drug Abuse, and here to talk to you guys about our event on Thursday, which is Spark. And as you mentioned earlier, Free for the Weekend. That's also another event that we're putting on this weekend, and we're just here to announce it and let everyone know about it. Here's our poster with all of the sponsors of who will be here this weekend. All the restaurants and different companies that will be providing free services for the Santa Barbara County students. And this is Christina Rodriguez.
Hi, I'm Christina. I'm also representing Santa Barbara City Youth Council and FNL, and we're both participating in Spark and Free for the Weekend. And I'm also representing Santa Barbara High School ASB. Elizabeth Gonzalez also was.
But we actually really are taking a lot of time and effort and trying to encourage students to do Free for the Weekend. It's an amazing thing. I've done it, every year since I can remember, and it's a lot of awesome prizes and just everything.
So essentially, what we have is these black wristbands. These are for Free for the Weekend, as well as these pledge cards, which say, I blank celebrate an alcohol and drug-free lifestyle. I agree to being alcohol, tobacco, and other drug-free. I understand that no one will be testing, checking, or forcing me to be drug-free, but I am responsible for my actions and am accountable to myself. So students will be signing these at different high schools throughout Santa Barbara County, and they can come to Spark this Thursday, 3:30 to 8 o'clock. It's at the Cabrillo Arts Pavilion, and we'd like to invite all of you guys to come as well. So we have these to pass around to you. Go ahead, Christine. They're little Spark postcards, and the pledge cards, what students will be signing, just to give you some more information how we've been publicizing. And all of you as well are welcome to attend Thursday at 3:30. There's going to be free food, dessert, games, tons of prizes for a raffle, and we also have a guest speaker, Jeremy Bates, coming from Revolution Speak. He's going to be there to inspire the kids and do some fun interactive games with them to get them motivated and excited about the alternatives to drinking and drugs. That's our goal.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for participating, and this is a great event for our students.
Dennis Shelley.
My name is Dennis Shelley. I'm a longtime resident, and I noticed you mentioned foster care. I'm also a 25-year foster parent. I'm going to read a statement here, and it'll give you some general information. In weeks to follow, following graduation, I will be sending you some more detailed information in the form of a letter, so I'm going to read this statement. In recent years, because of numerous highly publicized student suicides, we have all become aware of the seriousness of bullying. I am here to tell you that bullying is alive and well on your high school campuses. As I relate to you a true story about bullying, I will be careful not to mention the names of any individuals or schools. My story is about one of your students, an amazing young man who is held in very high esteem by all who know him. He is not into gangs, and he is not into drugs. For a variety of reasons, he has always struggled with his schoolwork, and in some cases, with his anger. But as he entered high school, his struggles were exacerbated when he began being bullied. The bullying was incessant. The verbal taunting included statements like, "You think you can go around acting tough? You're such a little gangster. We don't want your kind in this school, and I'll see to it that you get expelled from school." There was even a letter sent to the administration by the bully, falsely claiming that my friend had taken a punch at the bully. That incident was dismissed for the lie that it was. No action was ever taken against the bully. But the bullying had taken its toll on my young friend. His grades suffered, and he began cutting classes. By the middle of his junior year, he was a full year behind in credits. He chose to escape the bullying by leaving the school district. He spent 5.5 months at a military-style charter school where he excelled. But then he came back to the district because he so desperately wanted to spend his current school year, his senior year, with his friends. Unfortunately, he is also spending this school year with that same sick, demented bully who still targets him.
30 seconds.
Thank you. The bully, by the way, is one of your adult security guards. Other staff members are aware of this employee's misdeeds, yet have done nothing. They have simply looked the other way. I know the way the school system tends to protect their own, which means that I also know that bullying will continue to flourish on your campuses and still more students' futures or their lives will be jeopardized unless any one of you or all of you takes a direct interest in this matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shelley.
I'll be in touch with the speaker so we can follow up.
We have,
Yes, I just want to assure you that
Shelley.
Mr. Shelley, I just want to assure you that all of us are, I think, horrified by your account, and we will, as Dr. Sarvis mentioned, follow up with that. Thank you very much for bringing it to our attention.
We have one more public comment, Kate Smith, and public comment is now closed. Mrs. Smith?
Excuse me, is there anybody? Yeah. President Cordero, members of the Santa Barbara Board of Education, members of the public. My name is Kate Smith. For the last 15 years, I have been advocating for my children for a free and appropriate education. And I have been an activist to expose deep-seated and widespread school and government corruption, to reform education, and to restore justice and democracy in our schools and community. Are you taking notes, sir? Dr. Sarvis, are you taking notes on what I'm saying?
No, I'm not, Mrs. Smith. This is not a conversation, and this is your chance to speak to the board.
Right, but this is your opportunity to hear me, and in fact, it's your responsibility to hear me. We've just heard from a member of the public, one who we could tell immediately was an upstanding and truthful speaker without an agenda. And you were horrified, President Cordero, to hear of his account. Chris Hedges wrote an article that I just sent you about the demise of our educational system and about the destruction of our democracy. We are called on by God, by truth, by justice, and by love, each and every one of us, to stand up, to resist a horrifying situation where our government is no longer for the people. It is an education, politico-industrial complex, and we have to expose it and stop it. Our democracy,
30
our
seconds.
country, the entire world is at risk. My daughter will be transitioning out of the school system. I am talking to Dr. Carol Miller and to Jerice Butterfield, lodging what I hope will be an expose.
Thank you, Mrs. Smith.
Thank you, Mrs. Smith. Does that conclude public comment? Okay. We will be moving on then to the acceptance of donations.
I'll move to accept with gratitude.
I'll second. I'd also just like to take one brief second to thank the Borgatello family for the recent very generous gift that they've made to our schools in basically gifting the cost of the trash portion at our 3 high schools. They were doing it for San Marcos, and they've extended it now to the other 2, and they're really modeling some great community service for our students, so I wanted to just mention that. But
And we will send them a letter, and I will call Mario and personally thank you.
But I would like to second also all of these other very generous donations this month. There were some terrific ones, so we have a very generous public out there, and we really appreciate it and need their help.
Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, motion carries unanimously and with a tremendous amount of appreciation. Our next item is the consent agenda. Are there any items that board members would like to pull from the consent agenda? Hearing none?
Oh, no, I'll
Oh,
pull.
I'm sorry,
I'll pull
Mr.
D3.
D3? Okay.
And I'd like to note that you have revised lists, attachments for D3 and D4, and those revisions are on the side table.
Okay. Okay, so with item D3 pulled, is there a motion?
I will move to approve the remainder of the consent agenda.
Okay?
Second?
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 5-0. We will be returning to item D3 at the conclusion of this agenda. Okay, so now we are on to our action agenda, and we will begin with item E1, approval of renaming the stadium at San Marcos High School. Dr. Sarvers will
Well, we're very
introduce the-
excited
Mr. Head,
about
yeah?
this. We're excited to bring this to you. We have the Workingtons with us. Dave, I'd like you to go ahead and introduce us. And we have Rich Ridgway, and from the school, we have Abe Jihadami, the athletic director. I mean, this is just a wonderful thing for us, and we're pleased to bring it to you.
Thank you, Dr. Sarvis, and I'll turn it back over to you in case you want to give it a little background on the family. For a couple years now, San Marcos High School and the Booster Group have been raising funds to not only provide a artificial turf infield, but also to resurface the track. Rich Ridgway, a local businessman here in town, and has been active in that effort as far along with the Santa Barbara Soccer Club. They've been active in that effort. You've had previous board items that you've approved as far as fundraising and a joint use agreement if this comes forward. We've been notified that once again, a member of our community has stepped up for fundraising. It's amazing the number of people in the community who've stepped up to support our facilities. And with this generous donation, we are asking that the stadium at called Valley Stadium at San Marcos High School be renamed the Workington Stadium in honor of the family that's giving the donation.
And Ms. Cordero, John Workington's been rather low-key about this, but I would like either Rich Ridgway or Abe Jihadami to say, and John, would you like to come forward? You know, that's just this is a name that we know in our community. Very good. Abe, would you like to say something about this?
Yeah, I'd like to thank the Workington family. I mean, we're just so elated and so excited about this gift. I'll say a little something about the family. They're outstanding leaders in our community, and without a doubt, the most successful athletic family that San Marcos has ever had. Kara was an outstanding, best tennis player we've had at San Marcos, went on to USC on a scholarship, was the captain of the team, won the Pac-10. Mark, the son, was the best swimmer we've had at San Marcos. went into 2 Olympics, won gold medals at the Goodwill Games, and just a tremendous swimmer. And Paul, the last one, may have been the best male tennis player we've had, outstanding athlete. He went on to Ohio State on a scholarship and then played on the tour for a while. And Dad is bashful, but Dad was the top decathlete in the country, in the early 70s. And so, when you name Valley Stadium, it renamed Valley Stadium. It's the family out there that's out there really deserves this. And I'd also like to introduce Marty, John's wife, that's out there. She didn't want to come up, but she's, that behind every great family is the mom. And so, John, I'd like to introduce John Workington. And also, I'd like to really make a special thank you to Rich Ridgway, because without him, there's so many projects that have happened at San Marcos High School that without Rich, there's no way that were going to happen. And anytime you put Ridgway's name on anything, anything that you're going to have, you put Ridgway's name on there, there's instant credibility. You're going to have followers that people will just come forward and support it. So thank you very much for John and Rich and the Workington family.
Mr. Workington, would you like to say anything?
Thanks a lot, Abe and Rich. It's our pleasure to be able to do this. We've gotten a lot of enjoyment in our family throughout the years in sports, both in Fresno, where my wife and I grew up, and here with our children. It's been a real blast to get around to all the various matches and swim meets and things at San Marcos especially, but we also, of course, get around to DP and Santa Barbara as they play against those places. It's been really a fun situation, and we're really pleased to be able to do this. Thanks.
Thank you. Stay right there for a moment. This goes back to the board, and board, we're asking your approval, and I'm sure you'll want to say something as well.
Well, first of all, I just want to say this seems to be an evening for thanking the community for all the ways in which community members really support our schools. Certainly yours is, an outstanding contribution, both your family's participation in the school's athletic programs throughout the terms of your children, but also the ways in which you have supported the school since then and are continuing to do now. So I just want to, again, extend our deepest appreciation. I'm not sure, other than the naming, I'm not sure how we can really voice the level of gratitude we have for the amount of support that your family has given to San Marcos High School. And I think as we have been seeing, as we have pursued the search for a new superintendent, one of the things that makes Santa Barbara an attractive district for people to want to apply to is the level of participation and support that we have from our community members. And it's just so gratifying to see how that plays out and the ways in which it benefits not only all of our students, but also the community as a whole. So thank you to both of you, to your entire family. And if other board members would like to say something, feel free. Ms. Deacon?
I'd like to echo those sentiments, and also just really thank you for the spirit in which you've made this gift. It's really feels so good to know that you care so much, and as the parent of student athletes, I want to tell you how important that is, and we know how important athletic is to the success of all of our students and the vital role that it plays in their lives. So this is terrific. It's going to be a wonderful project. I love all the sustainable parts about it as well. It's going to be good for the environment and really great for the school and our whole community. So thank you so much. And I will make a motion to go ahead and approve the renaming of the stadium at San Marcos High School, the Workington Stadium.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it and just make a comment that when I first heard about this, there was no name attached to it. So my comment was, I don't care who has $500,000, who is it? And that's more important to me, but the donation and the thought behind it and the family behind it made it automatically once I heard. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you very, very much. Oh, and Mr. Ridgway, did you want to make a comment?
Just something really quick, please. In fact, Rich, I would like you to comment on how quickly this project can go forward.
We're so excited. We've been working for a couple years now on this, and we were grinding away at our fundraising and getting 5,000 and 10,000 at a time, and we were about halfway there. And then John came out of nowhere. He's our angel to make it happen, and we're going to start in June, and we're going to have this thing ready to play football in the fall.
Wow.
And I would like to thank your district staff. Dave Hetjunk has been so helpful to me. We talk almost on a daily basis now, but he and Carl Mayrose have guided us through this process with all the engineering and the reports that are necessary and all of the lease documents that we need to do and the bonding and the warranties. And so it's a big project, but we have our team of contractors together. The one thing we haven't determined yet is which turf company will be laying the turf out, but we're carefully going through that process and checking references, checking warranties, checking the backing financially of all these companies, and we will make a decision on one of those 6 companies shortly. Actually, we're meeting on Thursday to finalize some of the lease documents and the different specs and warranties that Dave's going to want. But we're there, we're excited, and we're going to be playing football in the fall. So thank you.
Well, great, thank you, and congratulations. Oh, that all of our items were that pleasant. Okay, that moves us on to item E2, the appointment of committee members to the Measures H 2008 and Measure I 2008 Parcel Tax Citizens Oversight Committee. And Ms. Kiani will kind of walk us through this, I believe.
Right, I'll have Barbara go ahead and present this. We have quite a bit of interest in H&I, and we were very pleased with that. We have some wonderful candidates, wonderful people who have expressed an interest in serving on the committee. Barbara Kiani.
As we recently did the Q&R committee, the structure for this committee is basically the same as the Bond Oversight Committee. So we have 7 seats to fill, and you have a chart that was put in the agenda packet showing you those members on each of the committees who have already served their term and have asked if they could continue serving their term. They've reapplied. And then we have new members who have stepped forward, or new applicants, excuse me, who have stepped forward and would like to be considered. So if the board would like to start, I guess, with Measure H, 2008.
I apologize. I'm sorry, we are dealing with some other things here, but Ms. Lamone?
So I have a question. I noticed that Measure H, so this is before we start, but I noticed that Measure H doesn't have a taxpayer association tax preparer rep. Would one of the 2 for I be willing to serve there?
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
excuse me, Mrs., I'm not sure how to pronounce the name, Elvina Gak? Okay. Indicated that she would prefer to stay with Measure I. And incidentally, I don't know if I pointed this out to you, she is the mother of Principal Casey Kilgore. And Mrs. Nicholson, who is a Peabody parent, has indicated, yes, indeed, she would be willing to serve. She was selected for, I brought my notes with me. She was selected for the Measure R committee, but she has no problem given the fact that we're talking 3 to 4 meetings per year. So she said, I'd be happy to serve on a couple of committees if you would wish.
All right.
Okay?
Thank you.
But I'm sorry, you said she's okay with going on the secondary instead of the elementary?
Mrs., excuse me.
Ms. Nicholson?
Nicholson, oh yeah, she
She's
again
fine.
is willing to serve on whichever committee we put her on. And I just spoke with her last week about it just to make sure that she was okay because she knew she had been selected for one, and she said, oh yeah, no problem.
Okay, so your suggestion was that we start with Measure H.
Yeah, if you want to start there.
And perhaps make the appointments there and then move on to Measure I. So do board members have recommendations for Measure H? Ms. Lamone?
Yeah, I would, So as I'm looking at this, I was thinking that we could have last name Bell, first name Colin.
But we're starting with measure H.
Sorry, I'm going,
Yeah.
I will hold my comments for H.
I'll make 2 comments. One, I think we should keep the 3 people who currently are on. And for sure, I think Patsy Hicks would be almost an automatic. I'm very, very impressed with her. Have been for several years.
Okay.
And Board Member Herron, I have one comment, and that is that you notice on the chart that I gave you, the people who served in a particular seat are designated in gray, and I will need some direction as to whether or not you want to keep them in that same spot.
We'll just see where the other names
Okay.
play out, but
Okay.
Okay, so other suggestions?
Yes.
Ms. Parker?
I mean, I would suggest that we keep them in their same spots. I would add that we put Corolla Nicholson up under Taxpayers Association, and that we add Margie, is it Yahavi? How do you pronounce her last name?
Margie Yavi.
Margie
Oh.
Yahavi? For the Ed Foundation. So that leaves us with needing a parent, correct?
Correct, let's see. We've got
'Cause we have-
Margie, we're going to do for the Ed Foundation, and the parent you said would be
No, Patsy Hicks would be community member.
Patsy Hicks is community, okay.
And then Corolla Nicholson would be Taxpayers Association or tax preparer.
Okay, and I had Corolla Nicholson
She
down at
was-
the bottom, but I can move her up.
Yeah,
She
so
was
let's
on
moving
I,
her
so we
up.
can move her to taxpayer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that would take
So-
care of, you've got 3, 4,
And that leaves us with a need for a parent.
correct.
And the ones identified in that category
Are Andy Barad, Ann Fitzgerald, and Ann Fitzgerald was selected, just so you know his background. She's on the Measure R, the Measure R 2010. But she, again, said she would be willing to serve on 2 committees.
My suggestion would be for Karen Kearns, after looking at her background. As a former Montecito Union trustee and current attorney and a former music teacher, she seems to really span the spectrum.
I'll point out that Lauren Mason did run for office, and he put in a lot of time and effort, so he's a very knowledgeable person.
Yes. Okay, so any others? So are you recommending?
I just spoke for him.
Okay. So Karen Kearns is a parent from Santa Barbara High School. Lauren Mason is a parent from Dos Pueblos High School. Are there any other suggestions or recommendations for the parent position?
I also thought the experience of Karen Kearns led me to believe that both being a former school board trustee and an attorney would bring some significant skills that would be helpful in this kind of a committee.
Okay. So Karen Kearns.
Is Karen Kearns the board's choice then?
No, we haven't decided that
We'll
yet.
make a motion in a minute.
Yeah.
Ms. Lamone, you had a comment or a recommendation?
You know, I think there's strength in both Kearns and Mason, and I would probably I think Lauren Mason just ran for office and has showed commitment and interest with the district, so I want to acknowledge that, and I personally consider that part of my thinking in this situation.
And I apologize, Ms. Canny, I think you just mentioned something about Andy Barad.
Oh, I just mentioned that he was a candidate, that's all.
Okay.
And he, I don't have his application in front of me. Just a second. Again, he did express an interest in serving on either Q or H, and he was not selected for Q. He is a parent, a Santa Barbara High parent, and La Colina parent, and has accounting background as well. But it was hard to read his application. I don't have much more detail about him than that.
Yes. Okay, so does anyone want to make a motion? Let's not all jump at once. And this final one, this parent position, is the one-year position, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I'll make a motion part way. Doug Martin, Jean Ritchie, Karen Anderson, Margie Yahavi, Carola Nicholson, and Patsy Hicks.
Okay.
For 6 of the 7.
Okay. Do we have a second for that motion?
Second.
Okay, is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, so those first
Okay,
6
Okay.
are identified, and now we would just want to appoint the parent. Does the board want to make that decision now, or do we want to look at the Measure I appointments first?
I have a question.
Okay?
I think last time, we also heard that there is the possibility of appointing more. We, of course, know the challenges with quorum, but considering there is so much interest, I would like to throw that out there.
The possibility of appointing two parents rather than just,
We would still need the
one.
odd
Yeah,
number.
it did it.
So it would, instead
So,
of
right,
set
so
a
we would
total of
end up-
7 members, there would need to be 9 members. I don't personally think it changes quorum dramatically, and there is, I think, good interest, so I would be willing to consider that.
so if we were to do that, who would be your additional recommendations?
Last name Barad,
Uh-huh.
Kearns, and Mason.
Okay, and that would give us,
And that would give us 9.
yeah, that would give us a 9. Okay, so that's a are you making a motion, or are you,
Sure.
okay?
I'll
Is there a
second that.
second for, okay? Ms. Deacon?
I just want to ask, so then would all 3 of those candidates serve in a 1-year term?
It would be up to, let's see, the category that we would put them in, they would be, we could have 2 people as parent plus PTA, for example. So Mr. Barad fits in that category. We need, let's see, the way it was structured was 4 2 years, 3 1 year. So that is the way that the bylaws are structured. So I'm just wondering how we would split that if we're going to do 9.
If we do 5 2-year,
5 and
and
4.
then 4
Yes.
1 year.
And I would suggest that it would be Ms. Kearns and the parent and PTA for the 2-year position, and then Mason and Barad for the parent 1-year term.
It would be up to the board.
That would be my suggestion.
I'm
if
okay
that's
with that.
Is that an amendment to the motion?
Yes, I'm amending my motion.
Okay, and we still have the second?
Yes.
Okay, are there any additional questions or comments? Okay, then all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, motion carries.
And that was Barad at 1 year as a parent, Ms. Kearns 2 years as a parent, parent plus PTA, and Mason as 1 year parent category. Okay. Thank you, board. We're off to
Okay.
Measure I.
So that moves us to Measure I. Ms. Parker?
Well, with Measure I, since Carola Nicholson is already serving on one of the bond committees, and now we've put her on Measure H, We have 3 people that want to repeat their terms. We only have 4 remaining applicants, so I would suggest that we grab them all, and that it's really just a matter of putting them into what slot. So I would suggest that we put Ms., and it's spelled differently. On one it's spelled Joachim, and one is Joke. I'm not sure which one, how Ms. Elvina, how she pronounces her last name. Do you know, Ms. Kiani?
Let me look at her application. Sorry. It's Geauque. Oh, there's no M on there.
No M.
Okay, sorry about that, little typo.
Okay. I would suggest that she be placed in the Taxpayer Association slot.
Okay.
I would suggest that for Colin Bell, that instead of community member, we actually put him into the business slot.
Okay.
Then for parent PTA, I would put Cricket Wood.
All right.
And for parent, that leaves Ann Fitzgerald. And I'm a little confused. So we didn't have a representative for the Ed Foundation, is that correct?
Frank Stevens wears 2 hats. He is a senior who's part of the California Retired Teachers Association, and Ed Foundation member as well. And the Ed Foundation, Margie Ayabi had suggested he go into the Ed Foundation column, but that was, I don't think she realized that he was also under the 2-year senior category prior. And he's been attending all the meetings and has been very involved.
Oh, I see. I'm sorry. I was spacing out because Ms. Post is already under the taxpayer. That's where the duplicate is. So, I would put, if Frank Stevens is willing, I would put him over into Ed Foundation.
Okay.
And then move Elvina Choquet into this senior citizens group.
Okay.
I want to say senior citizens space.
Placeholder.
Placeholder.
My only question about moving Frank is you're taking him from a 2-year position to a 1-year position.
But that is what was requested, correct? That he get moved over to the Ed Foundation?
That, he did not make that request. Margie Ayabi did from the Santa Barbara Education Foundation.
But he's already served 2 years, so this would be a 3rd year, so I think that would probably be appropriate.
That was the
And
motion.
that's my motion.
And I will second that.
I'm actually concerned about moving him out of the senior rep, because in reality, when people are in the meeting, they're not interacting or, acting in the meeting on the basis of that representation. They're there to ensure that those perspectives are brought to the table. And so even though he's there in the senior,
Seat. Yeah.
seat, he is still bringing the Ed Foundation perspective to the meeting. And I would actually like to see someone who actually represents the senior perspective in the senior seat, if we have one.
Well, I assume as Ms. Casey's mother that she might
Be
qualify.
careful.
I'm being careful. She might qualify. She might not. But my consideration here was that it seems odd to put somebody into the Ed Foundation slot who doesn't serve, and it's got to be one or the other.
Well, there
Well,
might be.
no, I'm sorry, go
I was
ahead.
going to say, one other option would be to appoint 6 people and then go back to the Ed Foundation and see if they can provide another representative. That's another possibility, somebody else to serve.
I think that's a good idea.
We should include ages on the application.
No.
Well, I think we should
Justin.
ask Mr. Stevens then which category he would prefer to serve in, because he's very active on the Ed Foundation Board, and I know he
Yes.
brings that advocacy piece to serving on this committee, so.
Can I make a recommendation then, maybe a modification to the motion? Given that they are two different terms, which might make a difference to him, that we adopt the motion as stated, contingent on Frank agreeing that he would be willing to be in the one-year position.
One other note that I would like to bring forward, and that is that he has also been very instrumental in going out trying to find other seniors for this committee, and he has not been able to. So I just wanted you to be aware of that he's gone out to Retired Teachers Association and just anyone he can think of. So that is a difficult spot to fill. It has been on every one of the committees. So I just want to throw that out there.
Okay, so then let me just finish up the last part of that, which is contingent on his being willing to take the one-year Ed Foundation position. If he is not interested in doing that and would prefer to remain in his two-year position, that we then come back.
You know, I think it might be better, because I would hate to appoint somebody and then withdraw it.
Oh, yes,
Because
you're absolutely right.
So I think it might be better for us just to appoint the 6 for tonight and then get that clarified, and we can change Mr. Stevens' position and perhaps bring back in Elvina, sorry, depending how that plays out. So I'm going to withdraw my motion and make a new motion that includes all these same people in the same positions, except for it will be Alice Post, taxpayer, Elvira Tafoya, community, Frank Stevens Sr.
Okay.
Depending on if he is willing if he particularly wants that position, or if he's willing to change to Ed Foundation. So we will revisit Frank Stevens.
Okay.
Actually, having said that, should I just pull Frank Stevens completely also?
I was actually going to see if we pulled Fitzgerald's, because she's already on a committee, and so I thought that if we appointed 6, it might make sense to, and we already have those particular areas, it might make sense to appoint and coordinate appropriately, and then if we did want to bring her back, I mean, I don't know, I was just thinking she's already serving on one.
No, I think that makes perfect sense. The only issue was that Ms. Joque is not a parent, and so it would be, that feels a little weird to put her into a parent slot when we have a parent, but
right, but we already, I guess I'm looking at we have Post as parent PTA, we have Bell as parent.
So we could put Bell into parent and move the other one into business.
Wait a minute, Mrs. Post, you had as taxpayer.
Right, no, not.
Okay.
I had originally said
Right.
Bell for business, move him out of parent and put him into business,
Right.
but we could switch that back, put him into parent.
And put
This just feels like a
Elvina
Chinese puzzle,
at-
this is ridiculous, but
And put
Elvina into business.
business, and then there's less.
Okay.
Can we also ask Alvina if she is a senior? Because if she is, that might solve all of our problems. And I recall that we actually appointed someone who was not a senior in the senior category last time, so these categories are a bit fluid.
And it's representing that constituency, being a member of a senior organization, and I don't know that she checked that on her application.
Right, that's what I was going to point out, that it's not just a matter of being a senior. It has to be someone who represents the senior constituency, much in the way that we're all taxpayers, but the taxpayer position has to be someone from a taxpayer group.
That's the hard thing. We're going to put her into, she was going to go into the taxpayers, because I hadn't even I hadn't, and she's an enrolled agent, so this gets,
Even more difficult.
And Ms. Tapoya only checked the box of community member, so that was the only place we had her. She may qualify in another category, but that was the only information we had.
Given that that it might help us if we had some additional information about some of these people, I'm going to suggest that perhaps we just reconfirm or reappoint the 3 that have already been serving and would like to serve again.
well, I think that because Mr. Stevens' position is a little bit fluid, I don't want to reappoint if we don't have if we're not reappointing to a particular seat. So I would suggest that we clarify with Mr. Stevens which he prefers. We have 7 names. We can figure out which slot they fall into, and that it just come back to us on the consent agenda next time.
Okay.
With that laid out.
Yes, I think we can handle it on the consent agenda.
All right.
And then we won't have to go through this
And we could
lengthy
ask
discussion again.
if the Ed Foundation does in fact have another member who might be willing to serve in that position. If
Okay, I
Mr.
will check on
Stevens-
both of those and get back to you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So that will come back to us.
All right.
Thank you, Ms. Kiani. Okay. Then item number E3, approval of resolution number 2010/2011-46 in support of a 55% voter approval rate to pass local parcel taxes to benefit local school districts. Mr. Sarvis, Dr. Sarvis.
Well, Board, this is the perfect follow-up item to the Parcel Tax Oversight Committee, and we're asking your approval. We would forward this to CSBA and the legislature.
Is there any discussion on this item? Do we have any public comment on this item? No, okay. Ms. Parker?
Well, just that I think that this is something that we probably have all felt for a long time is very important for our students. It makes a lot of sense to me that the parcel tax measures parallel the bond measures. And so I'm pleased to see that Senator Samedian is working on this again. He's always a real champion for education issues. And I hope that it passes.
Okay.
And with that, I'm going to move that we approve resolution number 2010/2011-46 in support of a 55% voter approval rate to pass local parcel taxes.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion, Mr. Herron?
Yeah, I'd like to thank the members of our community because I feel this is a vote probably for a lot of other communities who need this. Our community has been so supportive of us, and I think it's really appreciated, but I would hope that other communities would have that same kind of support, but they don't. So this is a vote for all the other communities who don't have our community.
Right, we have been quite fortunate to enjoy the higher level of support that we needed. Still, this does benefit other districts and may benefit ours in the future. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Okay, on to item E4, the approval of classified general fund reductions and layoffs due to lack of fund or lack of work. And Ms. Alvarado will be presenting this to us.
Yes, Board, these are possibilities. We may need to follow up on them. If we do, we must send out the notices now, and if we do need to follow up on them and our negotiations to go to furlough days fails, then we may need to act on them, but we may also be able to draw them back. As you heard, we expect by the end of May to know what the status is of unification. That'll draw a new line for budget cuts, and we'll be able to make some other decisions about the other cuts that are on the list. Elaine Alvarado?
Okay, Dr. Cyrus. Well, actually pretty much covered the process and what's led to presenting this tonight. It's a little bit different for those of you on the board that and how we process this. mainly because of what's pending and what's upcoming. You know, typically we do categorical layoffs, and we anticipate, and those are embedded in some of these positions here tonight. We've acted and moved forward on following March 8th budget reductions, and some of those positions were identified and those notifications have gone out. We do need to meet an April 29th deadline. That's it's an ed code. So we're always in that middle area of we need to notice, but we really don't know the final decision on budget. In this case, also final decision on unification. So we're making this an unusual move of over-noticing many positions. There are approximately 160 positions that will be ultimately identified. As Dr. Cyrus just mentioned, most of those will be rescinded. We anticipate that. Again, it's just pending what's going to happen. We feel that based on certain positions in the district, both at the district office level and at the sites, these are the positions that could be identified. And also, just to step back, these are part of strategic meetings and budget meetings with Eric Smith and with Meg Jate. So we've looked at a number of different positions and ultimately looked at the positions that we've identified here. I also wanted to let you know that there are other departments, such as Child Development and Food Services, that are going forward and anticipated this months ago to do some reductions in their staff, in their departments rather. So we are looking at both a reduction of staff, we're looking at reduction of hours. An example under Food Services or Child Nutrition Services is that we've identified Food Service Assistant 1. Well, we will continue to have Food Service Assistant 1, but through attrition we'll no longer continue hiring in that one particular classification. Again, these were identified well before unification, but knowing the budget. So we've incorporated all of this in the presentation tonight. So, and not to complicate it, but it's certainly more difficult to identify certain positions and ultimately what the numbers and the cost will be, because many of these will be rescinded. We don't know what the final number is going to be. We have been meeting on a regular basis with CSEA, both in negotiations and in problem solving. They're well aware what our process and what our procedures are going to be doing following the next few weeks. We are meeting again next Monday for negotiations. So we're in communication. We're identifying, keeping them notified of the positions and what the outcome will be. What makes it, again, unusual this year is how that bumping and how that seniority is going to impact when certain positions are ultimately rescinded. So we'll just keep the board informed. But in this case, we'll go forward pending your action and approval to at least identify those positions, and then those people will be notified.
Can I just ask you a quick follow-up question?
Sure.
You said that some of the other departments have already been sort of moving forward with identifying. Are those departments are not represented here? Is that correct?
The district departments or the site departments, they are identified in
They are included in this
Correct.
list. Okay,
Correct.
I thought you were saying that there was additional
Oh, no,
departments that were moving forward.
No, they're included
Okay,
here.
okay, thank you. Mr. Herron?
Can someone clarify this 2-year protection plan after unification? How does that affect all of these people?
Well, and that's one of the main reasons why we're doing this is as far as protecting any positions. If the unification does come up, then none of these positions, if we rescind them, will be subject to any layoff or any classified position for the next 2 years. So pending the outcome, which I think we're all hoping that it's going to happen, ultimately most of these will be rescinded, and they will then be protected for 2 years from any layoff.
But none of them have protection because of our action tonight.
At this point, correct, because we don't know what the final outcome will be.
Is that in the spirit of unification? Will you
Well,
give-
it is part of, and Eric and I talked about this at length, and in fact, it came up during negotiations as far as a discussion anyway on that. But it is in the district's best interest to move forward on the over-notification in lieu of the decision and the outcome of unification.
Yeah, if I may respond, it's very much in the interest of ensuring the district's fiscal security, and we wouldn't be doing it otherwise.
I'm just talking about the moral issue, I guess, you know.
And
It-
again,
it's-
when
well,
If I can comment on that, I'm sorry, I just wanted to say, I think the issue of the of sort of the spirit of the unification is that we would rescind them if the reunification goes through, and then they would be protected. The issuing of the notices is in case the unification does not go through, then we will be in a position of having to make additional cuts. And so this will give us the flexibility to do that. So I think the spirit of the reunification will be realized if it, in fact, materializes by the fact that we rescind as many of them as possible and protect them. Ms. Parker?
And also, I would say to that, that piece of ed code around unification is designed for districts that don't currently have unified staff. And in fact, it's putting us in a very artificial position for 2 years where staff that we might consider, unfortunately, as part of future layoffs, it's kind of frozen for 2 years in a very, outside mandated way that has nothing to do with current practice in the district. So I see that as more of the artificial piece and kind of weird for us, because since we're a Thompsonville unification as opposed to a regular unification.
I noticed the same thing when I read it. It suddenly dawned on me why it's 2 years. It's because of the unification law, which would protect employees if they were from 2 distinct districts that were dissimilar to ours, so that people wouldn't lose their jobs as a result of unification, and they'd be guaranteed their jobs for 2 years. But actually, it boxes us in a bit, but that's good for the employees.
It is.
So-
And I think that's one of the reasons why we've been so open in our discussions and our meetings and our communication with CSEA throughout this process. So they're well aware of hopefully what the ultimate goal will be here.
May I further clarify that? I mean, the board members are certainly correct here, but just for the public, a typical unification might involve 2 districts that have 2 different administrations, have people in these roles fulfilling these functions in 2 separate district offices. And in a typical, well, this is not a typical district. We've operated as a joint resolution district. We already have people in these roles. We only need one person in a certain role and another person in another role. And for us, unification doesn't really fit the typical bill. So this is very much an artificial position for us. But since unification requires this 2-year protection, we need to act now.
Right. So I think there are actually a number of things in the unification, the Thompson unification process that are a little bit unusual for us. But I think many of those things were considered as we determined that going forward would be in our best interest. So, okay, so do we have a motion?
Nobody likes to make these motions, and I certainly don't either. But I will move that we go ahead and accept the recommendations for layoffs and reduction of hours to the general funded positions and categorical funded positions listed for the 11-12 school year.
Is there a second?
Well, I don't like to second these either, but I will. And I think our employees fully understand that we have every absolute intention of bringing them back with unification, and we have high expectations unification will become a reality.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Alvarado. And we look forward to our unification petition being successful and being able to rescind, hopefully, very close to all of these notices.
I think we also need the state budget situation to be satisfied before we can make those kind of commitments, because that's another $4 million that may affect some of these.
Correct.
That's very much correct. And it's also contingent upon our current negotiations.
Okay.
Good.
Item E, that brings us to item E5, the second reading and approval of board policies and administrative regulations in the 4th 1,000 series.
Well, Board, you've been over these policies before. This is one of the group of policies that we didn't get a look at in our first round. No, I think I said at one point, I think we've gone through all of our policies well. There were some that we did not get to. So Jerry Fawcett has shepherded these through, and we're asking your approval tonight. Jerry, do you want to say anything about these?
Just that we're presenting them here for your second reading and hopefully your approval. So I'll ask you, we'll just move ahead here if that's all right with you, and I'll ask for any questions or comments.
Okay, thank you. I believe we have one public speaker or public comment. Would the board like to hear the comments first? Okay.
Lane Wheeler.
If you can wait to start till I get to the right place, thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't know I was going to be up quite so soon. 83. No pressure, right? Thank you, Lane Wheeler, President of Santa Barbara Teachers Association. On page 83, Board Policy 4127, 4227, and 4327. The question that we would put to the board is the intention of these changes and the inclusion of other areas, including pupil activity program supervisors, directors, and to be included with the coaches, a supplanting of any jobs that might currently be held by certificated unit staff. In reading this, I'm not clear on if that is the intention or not. It does not appear to be, but I'd like to hear publicly that it is not the intention of supplanting any jobs that could be currently employed by certificated unit members. It does say temporary, so if you could address that question, that would be the concern that we would have. Thank you very much. Took me longer to find it than it did to say it.
Okay, so